everyone. Welcome to another episode of Trinidad Bhojpuri Words and Phrase. I'm Karen Das. So joining me today, we have representing the Cutlass magazine, we have Vinay Harrichan, and representing the Caribbean Hindustani, we have Dr. Visham Bhimull. Sabkoi, kaisan hal?
अच्छा
हमारा अच्छा बा
So let's get cracking with our first word, and we usually begin with our Kaise Bole segment. Kaise Bole word, Hindustani mein. How do you say this in Hindustani? So we give you an English word and you give us your Hindustani word. So Kaise Bole crab Hindustani mein. How do you say crab in Hindustani? So let's go to Vinay. Vinay, let's have a go at this one. So popular answers kekra and kekara. Kekra, kekara.
Yeah, so kaise bole crab Hindustani mein. So the word that we had was kekra, and as Karen mentioned, some people answered kekra or kekara. The word that I've come across used in my family is mainly kekra, and I can give you a little funny kahani about that, a story. I actually have a Peruvian neighbor in Trinidad, and his nickname, and everybody calls him Kekra. And the reason why is because his father, everybody would call the father Crab. So Crab's son is Kekra, and I'm sure many people can relate to those funny little nicknames we all have. But yes, Kaise Bole Crab Hindustani mein, we found Kekra as one of the options.
Mm-hmm. All right, and it is important to note as well in Suriname, we have Nalini who would usually message in, and she said krabu, which I believe we were expecting since Dr. Bhimal, you were the one who told us to expect krabu from Suriname.
Yeah, based on my interviews in Trinidad Bhojpuri, both Suriname speakers and Trinidad Bhojpuri speakers, the original Hindustani word, be it from Hindi or Bhojpuri, has been lost. So they just say crab, and like in Suriname, because they speak Dutch and Suriname Tongo, krabu comes from their former language, Dutch.
And you found this to be, you were familiar with any other word for crab?
Growing up, no, my nanny used to say crab.
Mm, okay. All right. So we had crab, we have kekra, and well, for Suriname, we have crab food. Thank you very much. Let's move on to another Trinidad Bhojpuri word, and someone in your family, but more so from a Dullahin's side. So we went with the word BHASUR or BHASRU.
I would assume that in some vernacular dialect or of the Bhojpuri would have come, it would have been used. I don't have any recordings of Basur in conversation, but he's the older brother. So what I know growing up is Bada, the Hindi speakers know is big. In Bhojpuri, Trinidad Bhojpuri and Sarnami, normally adjectives would add a ka, like we did the wa before. So you get Bada becomes Barka, right? And it creates also the noun, so bigger one. Barka means bigger one. And then eventually in Trinidad, I know based on Peggy's research, Barka is the bigger brother of your husband. And Barki is his wife. I remember as a child, all my nanny, because my nanny was married to the oldest sibling, right? So all of her in-laws, my nana's brother's wife, they used to call my nana Barka and they used to call her Barki.
Yeah, so these were some of the comments. Husband's biggest brother, husband's elder brother, those were pretty much that. In Fiji, Barkau, Fiji Hindi, Bhasur is used as an official term in speeches. All right, so let me just go over to Vinay. Vinay, what were some of the comments that you came across?
Yeah, so as stated from the perspective of a Dullahan, the Basru or Basur is the eldest brother-in-law, her husband's eldest brother. And as Visham mentioned, you would really find that, used more in songs, whereas Baraka would be used in speech.
All right. In Suriname and the Netherlands, the wife says to the bigger brother of her husband, Parko, and the wife, Parki, younger brother, Chotko, and the wife, Chotki. So there we go. Subtle differences, but thank you all so much for participating and submitting your comments. And for those who are a little confused, like Romika, who is a bit baffled with Basur, I'm pretty sure if we had Barka, it would have been easier for her to pick up with. But, we learn as we go. Let's move on to our Trinidad Bhojpuri phrase or expression. And this was quite appropriate as we have this featured on this day celebrating Krishna Janam or Krishna Janamashtami. So our Trinidad Bhojpuri phrase or expression, Kanha ke palana jhulawe Jasomati MAIYAA. So common words, I mean, we've heard these words before. It's just a matter of putting them all together and coming up with the translation. So Vinay, let's have a go at this one. Kanha ke palana jhulawe Jasomati MAIYAA.
Yeah, so let's break this one down word by word. So Kanha means Lord Krishna, and oftentimes, as we know, many of the Hindu deities have several names. Now, when referring to Lord Krishna in his baby avatar, most often you'll hear Kanha, Kanhai, Kanhaya. And so this one, we're using Kanha, the baby avatar of Lord Krishna. Kanha ke Palana, that means Lord Krishna's cradle. Jhulawe means swinging or rocking. And then Jasomati Maya is his mother, and Jasomati is the Bhojpuri equivalent to what a lot of people might know as Yashoda, Lord Krishna's adoptive mother. So Kanha ke Palana Jhulawe, Jasomati Maya. Um, Lord Krishna's cradle is being rocked or swung by Mother Yashoda, Mother Jasomati. And the reason we use that obviously is because it ties into Christian Janam. But one thing we also found that was very interesting is that in a lot of people's interpretations of the word palana, instead of defining it as a cradle, a lot of people mentioned hammock, which I think shows a very high degree of cultural context because we're all very familiar with, what it's like to be rocked in a hammock, especially when we're
Mhm.
younger. So it's very nice to see that people were associating palana with a hammock instead of a cradle in this instance.
Yeah, I thought this was really sweet. The attempt as well from the listening audience for this feature. So we had just a basic, because they were able to work out Palana, a name in sense of Palana Jhulawe. And they were taking, I guess, with the Jasomati, because we're often hearing Yashoda. But it's important that we actually incorporated the name Jasomati in a Trinidad Bhojpuri feature. So we had rocking the hammock, swinging the hammock, rocking Lord Krishna in the swing, and so they were on. And others were able to be more accurate with the actual translation. So yes, Kanha ke palana jhulawe Jasomati MAIYAA. Thank you all very much for your comments. And this takes us into another word that we've often come across as well when even thinking about the deity of Krishna, and that is Lalana. So, Vinay, as I have you on screen, let's go to this one, Lalana.
Yeah, so Lalana is a word that we come across very often in Sohar, which, as if people might know, Sohar is the type of song that Hindus will sing for a baby's birthright for the Chatti, Barahi, or the 6 days and 12 days, respectively. And Lalana is the Hindustani word for baby. We did notice that a lot of people were commenting baby boy. However, Lalana can be used for a baby boy or a baby girl. And it's kind of similar to the way, bacha is a masculine word for a boy child. However, we know that bacha can also be used just generally for a child, and we have often come across people referring to their daughter as beta, even though beti is the feminine alternative. Beta is used as a general. So lalana, even though some people are answering baby boy, can be used as a broad term for baby. And I would encourage people to listen to a lot of sohas because you'll hear the word used there, or you might hear another version, lalan, lalan, lalana, both mean baby. And a song we have for reference for this time is the very popular song by Sam Visham, Lalana Kusi. Lalana Kusi Bhaye Nara Nari.
LALANAA, LALANAA,
But I noted that two persons had messaged in taking a guess with Lalana and thought it had something to do with a lullaby.
So in that regard, it may be an onomatopoeia because we do know that in the Hindustani language, there's a lot of words that correspond to the sound of something. So lalana could be in reference to the sounds that babies make when they're young. So lalana sounds like the sound that a baby might emit from their voice.
Okay, so we're almost through the week. We usually wrap up with a food related word. And this one, I'm going to take you to Dr. Visham Bhimull because jaw was the Trinidad Bhojpuri word featured last Friday. Did I have that pronunciation right? Jaw.
Yeah, it's Joe. Yes, correct. And well, it's interesting how I found out what Joe is. Growing up in a person who interacted with Trinidad Bhojpuri words. Um, Joe, I didn't realize was barley. Um, it's offered just like anything else. Frankincense, myrrh, and gold is offered in Hinduism as Loban and Google. So just like that, it's something that we use daily that will result in we offer back to the gods.
All right. So we had listeners actually message in saying barley, and even those on Facebook as well. For others, this was a new word. They had never used the word jaw. They would say barley, but they never knew that there was an actual word, like a Trinidad Bhojpuri word for it. Um, there was reference made to its use in funeral, the Hindu funeral rituals, so the pinda, and it's used during Hawan as well. Is it also used during the Navratri period?
Yeah, different parts of the diaspora would use it differently. Because we did Urdu already, and even in the Pinda, Urdu is used.
Yeah.
With our experience, normally you say five ingredients, but there's a anthropological and social reason as to the five and which five we choose based on our economy, yeah, and what is available. So grains in general you would be used for things that we would eat, which we did before Satwa, and then also things that we would offer. We did Pinda already as a manifestation. So we are manifestations in Hinduism of Anna, which is food. So that's basic food that we utilize to form something that has a round shape or representation of a manifestation. So yeah, I would think that in if not here, other parts of the diaspora, jaw would be used for the pinda and the final rites, and it will also be used in the Navratri period. Again, you have to look at the harvesting and when barley would be available.
Interesting. So Sudhir, who keeps up with us from Fiji, says he's never even heard of jow. They just say barley. Rumika says that we use a jow. In fact, they only use jow during Pitar Pak or Pitrapaksh. And others. She also asked if this is what is also popped as corn for the wedding.
As far as I know, from our experience, the only thing that's pop and have the chemical consistency for is rice. And I think other seeds will too, but in my own personal experience, is the husk rice, not the husk, sorry, the one with the husk, and then the a special corn is not popcorn is a special sort of
Yeah.
corn that would do that. Regular corn won't do it. I know with regards to our diaspora using popcorn, they use it to make malas. I saw it in some places prior. They actually passed something through it to make malas. With the comment on corn as an offering, I don't think corn in our parts is as popular as maize corn in Mexico and these other countries. So again, it goes back to economics as well as the economics and politics that affects what is available, that shapes our culture and religious practices.
All right. Vinay, was this a similar sort of reaction or response, not reaction, but a response for John on your end?
Yeah, lots of people mentioned that they had first come across it from going to puja shops and seeing the name Jao printed on the the bag when they buy a barley or something. But yeah, that was pretty much the reaction that I had. A lot of people saying that they hadn't heard it used in conversation, but had come across it from reading the labels or perhaps looking it up for the future, but not really used in conversation.
Excellent. So this wraps up another episode of Trinidad Bhojpuri Words and Phrase. We say thank you very much, everybody, for sending your comments or even for asking questions, even if you're not too sure, or even simply for saying, I don't know, because that's the purpose of the words, the daily words, and that's the purpose of the recap. So you get the words, you get the meaning, you get the context, you get the pronunciation, and a little historical background as well. So we hope that you enjoyed this episode and you keep up with the previous episodes if you've missed any. And if you'd like to get in touch with any of our guests, here's how you do so. So let's go with Dr. Bhimull, our Caribbean Hindustani.
Yeah, the viewers could go to Caribbean Hindustani, the YouTube channel. They could go to Facebook as well as the site caribbeanhindustani.org.
Okay. And Vinay of the Cutlass magazine.
Yes, you could follow me at Cutlass Magazine on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or feel free to send me a Sundays or message via email, cutlasspodcast@gmail.com.
Great. And if there's a word that you would like for us to feature or research, feel free to drop us a line, let us know what you're thinking, and we'll be more than happy to include as we go along. So, Agila Barle, thank you once again. Until next time.